All right. You ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Welcome, everyone, back to the new Cranky Workshop for episode 2. Just want to mention right up front, I realized the first show was it was 51 minutes, right? So it was a little long to watch. So we now are on all the popular audio streaming platforms.
Be able to hear the nice, soothing voice of myself and Lee. You don't want to look at our ugly mugs.
I think we need to do the NPR thing now. And welcome back to the next episode of the new Cranky Workshop. Yeah, so we're on YouTube Music, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, Pandora, Amazon Music, Audible. And
that's a lot of damn platforms.
That's a lot of uploading, right? Yeah, that's enough. I mean, if for some reason we're not on the platform you like, just let us know. We'll see what we can do. But in the meantime, I think we're good. Let me adjust this a little bit. Let me see if I can get less Ryobi and more DeWalt in there. I don't know. Yeah. So we both have baseball shirts on today. So. This is not a vintage shirt, but it's kind of a collector's item because it's Indians. I got the Chief Wahoo, and
do you have Wild Thing on the back? Do you have Wild Thing? Oh yeah, just a bit outside.
Forget about the curveball, Ricky. Give him the heater. Okay, the best line in that movie. He walks the bases loaded. Remember, ball 4, ball 8, right? and then he gives up the home run to Haywood, and they're in the bar afterwards. And Taylor is trying to console him. He says that ball wouldn't have been out of a lot of parks. And he goes, name one. He goes, Yellowstone. Now, Major League is my favorite baseball movie. I watched your video this morning. We're going to talk about that in a second. But I love baseball, and I didn't realize you were as rabid a baseball fan as me. We could probably do a whole separate podcast on that. But
probably.
But Major League, that's my favorite baseball movie. So which is yours? I'm going to say maybe Moneyball, right?
No. Actually, Moneyball is a terrible movie. They get about 3/4 of it all wrong. The characters are just a bunch of bullshit. Honestly, my favorite baseball movie is The Sandlot. I know I'm supposed to say I know I'm supposed to say what? Damn it! Now it's not coming to me.
Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams. I'm supposed to say Field of Dreams. Dad, can we have a catch? No. All right. I love Kevin Costner. I watch everything that dude does. But no, it's Sandlot. It is just that is my favorite baseball movie. Major League, a very close number 2. I really like A League of Their Own. That's a great movie as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yep. I love that movie. Major League, I really liked. I liked Moneyball actually, but I'm sure you were looking at it through the lens of being an A's fan.
Of a guy that was actually in the stands in, game 15 of that 20-game win streak. Yeah.
Right. Right. I loved Fever Pitch because the story behind it was so great, right? Because they made that movie in 2004 as the Red Sox were winning the World Series. And the Farrelly brothers, who are the guys who made that movie, the same guys who made Something About Mary or whatever, they wanted to put Game 4, the clinching game, in the movie. They couldn't get permission to film. So they just ran out into the field with handheld cameras, and Jimmy Fallon and Drew Barrymore running around. They
nice.
They just went rogue on it, right?
So screw it. If I can't get permission, I'll just do it my damn self. That's the way to do it.
And then of course they rewrote the whole ending of the movie, right? Because the ending of the movie was supposed to be, the Red Sox fuck it up again.
Billy Buckner lets it go through his legs. Yep. Whoopsie doodle.
So I saw your video this morning. Awesome narrative. Great story. I see the fuck John Fisher sign in the background. Point that out. There you go. Yep.
I got another one over here that says John Fisher can kiss my Oakland A's. I made 3 of them. I'm keeping 1 for myself, and 2 of them are going back for my friends.
So I left a comment on your video, right? I don't know if you saw it, but I loved the video so much. Really, I did, Jered, because it just brought back so many great memories of being a kid, and just the way you described walking into the stadium the very first time as a kid. I remember the same thing. Walking into Fenway Park with my uncle the first time, who was a massive, massive Red Sox fan. I never knew grass could be that green. Right. It was amazing, right? It was just like, whoa.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I don't think you get that feeling going into a football stadium. Well,
no. Now, football is a TV show. It's not right?
I can't speak to Lambeau. I can't speak to Soldier Field, but these huge, massive stadiums, like Texas Stadium now, or whatever the hell it's called.
It's a giant TV studio where they just let you watch. But you're a studio audience. You're not a participant.
Yeah. I mean, the Oakland Coliseum is a shithole. It's a dump. And for somebody, but back in the 80s, late 80s, it was gorgeous. I mean, it sat down below, not too far above the parking lot level. You walk down to your seats. No Mount Davis. You could just see out into the hills. There was a grassed area, and then you had your bleacher. It was a gorgeous, gorgeous venue. And then as soon as the Raiders came back in the mid-90s and Al Davis got all his box seats, it turned to shit. And it just became, a relic of late 60s architecture. Yeah, I appreciate your appreciation of the video. I hate to say, but it's kind of like an obituary. It is, I had to get it out there, damn it. I had to get it out there. And for me, it just needed to be said. That's it.
Right. So speaking of videos, this is kind of interesting because I talked to you about a video that I'm working on, and it'll be out on my Busted Knuckle Woodworks channel, of course. And it's centered around miter saws. Mm-hmm. And I discovered that you are not a fan of miter saws.
Okay, so let me say this: I do not hate the miter saw.
Really? Because that was going to be the title of this episode.
Oh yeah, here it is. I'll just give there it is. There's your little screenshot that you can use for the thumbnail. I don't hate the miter saw. I understand and have used the miter saw in a sedentary shop environment in the past. My problem with the miter saw is it's not a stationary tool. It's a contractor's tool. It's a job site tool. It's a tool that's supposed to be mobile. You take it to where you work, right? So in my history, I think I've had 4 different miter saws. I had one that I inherited from my grandfather, and then I have purchased 3 others. And I have used them in the past a lot like what we see a whole bunch of YouTubers doing today. You set up this massive cathedral stand that you build out with ridiculous amounts of storage and let alone a shit ton of money in materials.
Oh, I agree. And then, I agree. Those are ridiculous sometimes.
And then all you do is you are just cross-cutting. That's all you're doing. You're rough cutting pieces to length. So yeah, in order to get prepared for this show, here's the best alternative right there. A cheap-ass speed square and a circ saw. And you don't need to get invested in a $600, like a quality, a $600 miter saw, like a DeWalt or a Bosch or a Delta Glider or whatever, let alone a friggin' $1,500 saw like a Capex.
Right.
So I am utterly confused with the obsession around the miter saw. And it's not that I don't like a miter saw. I still have one. It is actually over at my mother's house right now. She's using it. But when it's back in my possession, it just sits in my basement. It's not even in my shop.
Right.
I just don't get it.
Now, Okay, so let me just say a few things in defense of the miter saw, because I happen to be
Go ahead and bust
a fan.
my ass. Here it
I
comes.
think it has. I agree. It's a construction tool. It's a job site tool, but I think it has a place in a fine woodworking shop. Now, I know you have a Felder, giant table saw with a giant sliding table and 8 feet of clearance on one side. So you can cut 8-foot lumber on a table saw. Now, most guys can't do that. I certainly can't. I have a 36-inch saw stop, and this place is not wide enough to be able to cut 8-foot lumber, even if I had a table saw that big. They don't need to take up a lot of room. I totally agree with what you said about the ridiculous miter saw altars that people build sometimes. I mean, they're
right.
My grandmother had a TV console that was like 20 feet long. These miter saw stations put that to shame. You certainly don't need to make it the center of your shop, right? When you talk about a miter saw has to be mobile, I could not agree more, right? A miter saw that's sitting on a bench or taking up room in a station is a waste. You will not use it often enough for it to earn a permanent spot like that.
Well, you're also limiting the functionality of, or I should say, the capability of the saw, right? In that traditionally you're using it to cut miters and compound miters and things like that. Like when you set it up in a permanent space, if you're actually using it to cut trim, baseboards, whatever, that's a lot of walking back and forth. That is a pain in the ass.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, the way I have mine set up, and you'll see this in the video, and people have seen it in other videos. I have it right near my garage door, and it's on a rolling stand. It's a DeWalt. So, of course, I can store it upright, right? The footprint is very small, even though it's a large saw. It's a 12-inch dual bevel. I can roll it right outside. I can work outside. Dust collection on a miter saw, no matter how good it is, it still sucks, right? So,
and it doesn't matter how many products you 3D print to try and solve the problem. It ain't going to work. It's just not.
No.
So, the best dust collection is throw it out in the driveway and blow it into the street.
There you go. Exactly.
Problem solved.
That's what I do, right? So whenever it's nice, and in Texas here, it's nice most of the time. I just roll it outside. If I have a lot of work to do, more than say 1 or 2 cuts, I'll just flip up the door, roll it outside. And in the summer, I do a lot of work outside anyway, because it's a great way to promote yourself, right? I've gotten a lot of sales from people just walking by going like, oh, what are you building? Oh, I need one of these things or one of those things. We get a lot of walkers and joggers and people walking their dogs around here. It's a kind of a friendly neighborhood. So people stop and I give them a little 2-cent tour and stuff, and it's fun, right? So so that gives me a chance to kind of get outside a little bit. And I do a lot of outdoor furniture anyway. So if you're doing large outdoor furniture, it's just like you said, it just makes it easier to bring the saw to the work. Now, one thing about a miter saw that I think is an advantage too is doing like compound miters when you're beveling and mitering at the same time. That's really tough to do on a table saw. I mean, you can do it.
Well, it definitely helps when you have a sliding table saw. So
Sure.
I will say that. I mean, I have a Hammer K3 Winter. So it has a little less than 7 feet of travel as far as the slider is concerned. And I have about 4 feet of 4 feet of support on the outrigger table. So, I mean, if I'm doing an 8-foot board, I got to flip it end over end. But I'm swinging a 12-inch blade, so I can cut through a 4x4 if I need to on the table saw.
Right.
And, the way that these saws are constructed, I have a fence on my outrigger that I can then shift to particular angles, and then I can also angle my blade. So I have a dual bevel set up. I cut once. So the story goes, when I moved into this house, I didn't have electrical in the garage that could support my standalone tools, and I had to wait to get somebody out here to do it properly. Fucking codes, right?
Right.
So I bought a 10-inch miter saw, and I started to do some trim work in the house. And then once I got my hammer all set up, that miter saw went away. I gave it to my mom. I haven't seen it since. But I then started to do all the trim on my hammer, and it's like, it's so much easier. The cuts are a whole lot crisper. It's more precise. I can set stuff up, and all of my work is supported. I don't need this massive, gigantic stand to cut stuff, or
Right.
even in your case, just, the accessory mobile stand.
Right.
And it's just like, I chose a tool to replace something, because here's the thing that gets lost in translation about all of these miter saw stands. You go through and you just do a quick search, you'll see 500,000 views, 500,000 views, 1,000,000 views.
Right.
One, they are ridiculously expensive to construct. And most of those videos were put out 3, 4, 5 years ago when plywood was still relatively inexpensive. And now you're talking about a 20 to 30% increase in plywood and sheet goods. But here's the thing they give up: square footage. In a small shop environment, the most important tool that nobody ever talks about is square footage.
Right.
And when you create this massive stand that has 8 feet of in-feed and 8 feet of out-feed, and it's 2 feet off of the wall, because not every miter saw, butts right up against the wall.
Right. Oh,
You're
and
giving up
some
30,
of these guys
40, 50 square feet.
dust collection hoods too, right? So that takes up room.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, dust collection through a shop vac, yeah, it may suck up some of it. But I mean, if you're talking about really plumbing in serious CFM, you got to have a 5 horsepower dust collector. You got to run ducting, and that shit is expensive. It's like, when you really break down one of these crazy ass builds, you're talking about $6,000 or $7,000 with a giant dust collector, with the saw, with all the sheet goods, let alone all the time that you're giving up. It just makes no sense to me if you are committed to a miter saw, you just do it the way that you do it. You have the accessory stand, open up a door, go outside, let the dust fly where it may, and you're done.
Right.
It's a whole lot more cost effective. Or you do it the way with a circular saw and a speed square, and you take the tool to the piece instead of the piece to the tool.
Sure. You hit the nail right on the head, right? Building a $7,000 build to support a $700 saw.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. And if I was truly committed to the idea of having some sort of stationary chop saw, I would want a radial arm saw.
Mm-hmm.
Because then I can swing a dado blade.
Right.
I could do a lot of trench cuts with that. Not that most miter saws can't do trench cuts, but you can't swing a dado blade on a newer miter saw.
Right.
I would want to have an older radial arm saw and be able to just, boom, batch stuff out, put a big giant blade. I think Mike Farrington restored one that had like a 14-inch blade on it. Like, that would be absolute terror to operate.
Right.
But then you can cut through all sorts of crazy ass lumber.
Oh, of course. And the ones that go horizontal, you can do crazy joints with them and so forth. Yeah. I mean, that's The other thing I like about a miter saw for cross cuts is that if you're doing fine cross cuts, you don't have to change the blade, right? I mean, a miter saw is a cross cut machine, so you just put a fine tooth blade in it and you just leave it. Don't leave the construction blade in it. But I have an 100 tooth blade, I think, on this 12-inch saw, and I never change it. Whereas on a table saw, if you're doing rips, if you're doing cross cuts, you're changing blades. So
there is that. I think I've got three blades for my table saw. I've got a 12-inch blade. All of my blades are 12-inch, and I have a 15-tooth blade. Man, when you turn that thing on, it is like a wind tunnel. It just produces so much just draft off of that blade.
Wait a second. You have a 15-tooth blade on a 12-inch. A 15-tooth, 12-inch blade. The blades must be like this far apart. Let's see this crazy thing.
There it is.
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah.
Wow. When this thing starts spinning, it definitely will make your butt pucker. But you can, like, this blade, if I'm ripping 3-inch material, it goes through it like nobody's business.
Right.
Throws dust and shit all over the place, but it goes through timber like nobody's business.
Oh, I'll bet. Right.
I get what you're saying with the miter saw. It's a one blade, make a small trench cut and incrementally go through, and you get some pretty good results. I get that.
So anyway, hey man, I wanted to talk to you about something that really surprised me, changing topics completely. So I saw this crazy shit while I was thumbing through the Home Depot app yesterday. They will sell you, let me see if I can find this. Hold on a second, because I'm going to see if I can find it while I'm talking to you. They will sell you a pre-broken down pallet for only...
Oh, that's gold mine.
For only $50. Okay?
That's a gold mine.
This is...
They probably just go in the back and break them all down and then throw them in a rack somewhere. Ingenious.
You know, some guy in the Home Depot board of directors, right, said, like, why are we throwing these pallets away? Come on.
Mm-hmm. I got an idea.
1 by 4 inch by 3.5 foot reclaimed pallet boards, 9-pack.
1 by 4.
$49.21.
That's what, like about
it's $4
half a board foot?
It's $4.80
each.
a board foot. I did the math.
Yeah.
Yeah. $4.80. Okay, so this is the thing that really shocked me. Not the fact that they did this, because Lowe's tried to sell 4-foot pine slabs, right? I mean, I did a video about that, actually. I thought that was fucking stupid. This is even crazier. But the craziest thing to me is I posted this on my Facebook page, and I posted it to a couple of other groups. I posted it to 731, most notably.
No.
I don't know. I don't know about that crowd over at 731, because people commented on the post and talked about how awesome of an idea this was, and how they were defending it. This is so beautiful for people who don't have the tools to break down their own pallets. Okay, there's so much fucking wrong with this whole scenario. First of all,
okay,
why are
Lee's going to go off the deep end. Here it comes. Lee's going off on a tangent here. Let it happen. Go ahead.
First of all, why are you building shit with pallets to begin with?
Okay.
Okay? Number one, okay? That's over. It never should have happened, but it happened. Let it die. Number two, what about people who don't have the tools to break down their own pallets? If you don't have tools, what are you going to be making with pallet wood? You mean you have...
Well, you're going to have to go out and buy a $700 miter saw.
Exactly.
That's what you're going to need to do.
You have a $700 miter saw, but you can't buy a $25 claw hammer. The fuck? Okay, number three, rather than buying the $25 claw hammer and getting all the pallets you want for free and breaking them down yourself, which takes about, 10 minutes, it's a lot smarter to these dumbasses on Facebook to spend $50 on one broken down, not even a full broken down pallet, because it's only 9 boards, right? So $50 on a half a pallet already broken down. And so now you have a half a pallet and you're out $50 instead of being out $25, having a claw hammer and getting free pallets. But that totally belies the whole premise of don't build shit with pallet wood, especially at $4.80 a fucking board foot. I can get S4S poplar for less than that, nicer wood, already milled.
Yeah. So
please,
there's also a couple of other issues involved in that. In any of us who know anything about pallet wood, we know that it can be treated, right? It can have all sorts of chemicals in it. You don't know necessarily what the species is. I've seen pallets that are built out of white oak. I've seen pallets that are blue because they are just overly saturated with chemicals.
Right.
Not that I
Copper.
build anything out of pallets. Yeah. And you don't know as a consumer what you are getting.
I wonder if all the rodent urine is included, right? Because those are usually soaked with rat piss.
Chances are they got some lackey working $10, $12 an hour back there, busting down the pallets that all of their shit comes in that has concrete and whatever else on it, and they're just going to put it in a rack and they're going to turn around and sell it for $5.
Oh, but you know that minimum wage kid is being very careful to take all the nails out. You know that, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah, quality control, right? I mean, for $5, you could buy a fence picket.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there is a ungodly amount of people that watch those types of videos where you just make shit out of fence pickets, and I'm fine with that. If for an outdoor project, whatever, a birdhouse, it doesn't have to be the Ritz-Carlton or nothing. You just make it out of a fence picket. That's
right.
fine.
Sure.
But why would you purchase shit material when? Okay, so I'm going to answer my own question before I even ask it. The reason why people think that this is a good idea is because they're lazy. Because they're ignorant and they're lazy. They don't know what they're getting themselves into. They don't know all of the headache. They just know that I could buy this, I could chop it into rectangles, and I can put it together and make a thing. They don't realize that not all pallet wood is created equal. They don't realize that processing pallet wood is going to do far more damage to your tools than the project is probably worth, in that there could be all sorts of dust and debris. There could be all sorts of nasty shit in there. You can chip teeth. You can ruin joiner planers if you're like that.
If you have a saw stop,
no,
you can trip brakes.
Right?
Right.
And then you're out not only the brake, but the friggin' blade.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
That was a great $50 investment in material to replace $100 blade and however much those damn brakes cost.
Oh, yeah.
It's stupid. It really is.
Right.
It's dumb.
It's very dumb.
I mean, I remember the Lowe's thing with the pine slabs, and I think they had them, pre-cut at whatever predetermined length. And then again, you start to do the math on it, and you're like, holy shit, you're paying $5 or $6 a board foot. That is absolutely insane. Like, I can get cherry, 4/4 cherry, rough sawn, a 4/4 cherry for $6 a board foot, and that's a whole hell of a lot nicer, and has arguably been killed dried properly.
Right. Yep, absolutely. Yeah. It's just crazy, man. I don't get it, but I don't,
There's a sucker born every 15 minutes, and those people are suckers.
Right.
That's all it is.
I never got the rustic craze, the pallet wood craze, the fake Shushugi craze, I just never got it, right? The shabby chic craze, the make shit look terrible on purpose craze. I mean, to me, it just doesn't fit my personality, I guess. I guess it takes all types, but
Anna White has built an empire on that crap, and hey, more power to her. And
what's up, Anna White?
If people enjoy it, if people like it and people enjoy it, whatever, knock yourself out.
Right.
I mean, don't ask me to build it because I won't do it.
Right. Yeah.
Not my jam.
In the words of the immortal John Cesaro at Lincoln Street, pallet wood is not free.
It's not.
It's not free.
And you shouldn't go sliding down the side of an embankment to go and grab it either.
That's when John was doing the comedy thing. I don't know. He doesn't do that anymore. It is time for the video shout outs.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's do it. So mine is, I got to make sure I read it here. Mine is from Scott Markwood at My Growth Rings, and it is entitled A Response to John Malecki Addressing Misconceptions About Shopsmith Woodworking Tools. So unless you've been living under a rock, if you watch YouTube videos at all, you're aware of this whole thing with John Malecki and the Shopsmith and all that bullshit. So Scott's was the first video that I saw, and I think the first video that came out as a response to that original video. And I've seen several since then. I think his is still the best, although Thomas Perk from Woodshop Nerdery did a pretty nice one too. The thing is, how do I say this? The thing that struck me about both Scott's and Tom's videos were how sweet and gracious and civil and well-mannered they were in responding to John Malecki. I don't intend to be as gracious and civil. I'm going to say what they were both afraid to say. John Malecki is a fucking clown. Okay.
Okay.
He's a shill. He's a charlatan, an act. Okay, he's a put on. He went out and bought a used Shopsmith with the express purpose of trashing it, and then had the gall to represent it as a safety video. And that, I think, is the biggest disservice. He didn't do it to inform his viewers. He didn't do it to educate the audience. And that's what you expect out of a safety video. He did it to intentionally disseminate misinformation for the purposes of being a clown, for clicks,
Purposes of views and money.
Yeah, views and clicks and cash, right?
Yeah.
Even the thumbnail was disingenuous because it showed his hands bandaged up on a Shopsmith with fake blood all over the table and the blade. He had fucking spurted ketchup on it or some shit.
Yeah.
And he titled it, "The Most Dangerous Tool in My Shop." I'm going to tell you right now, the most dangerous tool in John Malecki's shop is John Malecki.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Preach, brother, preach.
Now,
okay, so
go ahead.
Go ahead. No.
I want to hear what you have to say on this.
Okay, so I'm the asshole that released the video that bashed all of these influencer wood channels.
Right.
Though I did not say specifically who I was directing that message towards, Mr. Malecki's channel was definitely one that came up quite a bit in the comments. If I'm going to say something, then I have to preach, right? I have to live what I say.
Right.
So a long time ago, I unsubscribed to that channel. And furthermore, I have continually hit that do not recommend. And screw you, YouTube, for continually showing me, even though I have hit do not recommend.
I love how they do that, don't they? When you unsubscribe for something and they just keep showing you the same shit. Yeah.
Because, as you said, his channel has transitioned away from information, away from teaching, from skill development. From when I watched his stuff early on, before he made this immediate transition to essentially buffoonery, his channel used to be informative. It was, this is shop build out stuff. This is how you go about doing it. It was a traditional learning.
Right.
channel.
He did a cabinet building series where he did like simple, intermediate, advanced. That was such a great series. That's when I subscribed to him, and his channel has gone off the rails since then.
Yeah, but if you go and you look at his home page, and you don't hit the button, you hit the videos thing, and you don't click on the most popular. You just leave it as is, and you look at the most recent stuff, like the last 3 months, last 6 months, whatever. You'll see 500,000, 750,000, 1 million views. And I'm not faulting him for view counts. That's the basis of his channel. What I'm faulting him for is essentially using viral things from another platform, specifically TikTok, taking those things, recreating them for YouTube, and then basically showing a whole series of activities and processes that nobody should do. They're so dangerous. They are so reckless. And yet, here's the thing. John Malecki is a fucking genius. He's so smart. Now, I'm sure that Mr. Malecki has a whole team of people, because with a channel that size, you can't just run it by yourself, right? You have to have people doing keyword research. You have to have people writing descriptions. You have to have people doing targeted informational
people
research.
running the cameras and doing the editing and stuff. You can't do all that yourself.
I bet you dollars to donuts that he found a niche group of people, the Shopsmith people, and said, I bet you I could bait a hook and they will watch. He's genius.
Bingo. Ding, ding, ding,
he
ding,
played,
ding, ding.
He played the Shopsmith people like a fiddle.
Sure.
Here's the lure, and they bit.
Oh, yeah.
And now, and at least somewhat of a good thing has come out of this, in that those Shopsmith channels have gotten the now Malecki bump, as they so refer to it. You know, they're now getting some more eyes on that tool, which my grandfather had one, and I inherited that tool, and I looked at it for all of about 3 days, and I was like, this ain't gonna fly for me.
Right. Same
Not
here,
anti-Shopsmith. I just, at that point in time in my life, I had no fucking clue of how to operate the thing, how to use it effectively. So I offed it. But Malecki's channel is sophomoric. It's gimmicky. It's buffoonery. His channel is a car crash that all of the viewers cannot look away from.
Yeah.
Which then, I mean, that's my issue with those types of channels, is that you are more focused on the entertainment value, the novelty, the gimmicky stuff, than you are the actual information.
Right.
It's you're getting your dopamine fix, your drug fix from watching a dude be a jack.
Yeah.
He's Johnny Knoxville.
Right. So TikTok is kind of made for being a jackass, right? And I think you hit the nail on the head, because what he's done is he's taking these 60-second or 3-minute jackass videos and said, "Oh, I can bring this I can bring this game to YouTube and make it an hour or 30 minutes." Yeah. So
I think he did one where, like, and I'm not on TikTok. I absolutely refuse to be on TikTok.
Afraid of the Chinese, are you?
But I think, no, it's not that. I just don't like being dumb.
Yeah.
But I think he did, as I was scrolling through his homepage, I think there was one of the thumbnails that said, like, I glue pieces of paper together to see if I can use it to cut wood. How fucking dangerous is that? Like, how dangerous is that? You are going to, like, epoxy layer up a piece of thing, and like, you are just you're hoping to generate shrapnel, which is just going to, like, absolutely just
it'll look so great on camera, though. Oh, it'll explode,
right? Yeah, I'll get Jonathan Katz Moses's, like, super high frame rate whatever thing, and we'll film it in slow motion, and, you know, that'll bump me up to, again, another bullshit gimmicky thing that, whatever.
So
it's stupid.
All right, man. So let's talk about your video spotlight. Hit me with it.
Okay. On a completely different, separate note.
A more positive note, I hope.
More positive note. My recommendation is going to come from actually, it's 2 videos. It's a collaboration between, again, 2 Aussies. I apparently have an affinity for the Aussies woodworking channels. Riverside Woodworks and Wooden Thumb YT. So if you find one of the videos, you'll get the other one in the description. As I said, it's a collaboration video. So one channel will do half of the project and the other channel will finish it off. And what they did is they constructed a, like, 80 centimeters. I don't know what that is. I can't do the math. It's 3 feet tall. I don't know. I work in Imperial. Sorry, metric people. They create, like, a wooden doll, a wooden statue of the television character Bluey. So if you are not a new parent like I am, you have no fucking clue of what Bluey is.
Don't know what a Bluey is.
No, Bluey is an Australian cartoon, and it is absolutely hilarious. It's a family of dogs, and one of the dogs is blue, hence Bluey. It is absolutely hilarious. So I stumbled across that video, and I'm watching it, and my daughter is, you know, fumbling around in the living room, and she comes over and looks at what I'm watching, and she goes, "Oh, Bluey!" and we watched it. We watched both of the videos together. It was really, really cool. Like, that is a nice moment for me personally. But then they go about basically working in shops that they don't have the tools, so they're going out to like these maker lab type places and using those tools. And it's a great workaround of the small shop environment where you may not have these tools at your disposal. They create like a segmented turned body. One of them does most of the joinery, and it's really like bridle joints and all sorts of different like traditional hand cut joinery that woodworkers tend to get off on. So I mean, it's a nice video, or a nice couple of videos. I don't know, 15-20 minutes in total length. It's an easy watch. It's just a really heartfelt, nice project that gets completed. And, it's for shits and giggles. It's fun.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait to watch those. We're going to link them up in the description.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, make sure you check out the description to this video. Or if you're watching on audio, hop over to YouTube, check out the description, get the links, and we'll check it out. So fantastic. Speaking of collaboration videos, since you just mentioned one, we won't talk about the topic, but Jered and I are going to do a collaboration video, right? And it should be out very beginning of July. We're going to put it out 4th of July weekend, I hope.
Yeah, that's the idea. If I'm being fully honest, I haven't even started yet.
My goodness.
But yeah, that's the idea. I've written it out. I've made my choices. I just haven't recorded anything.
Okay.
Yet.
Well, don't give too much away. 4th of July weekend, we're going to do it. And if Jered doesn't finish his half, I'm going to do mine anyway. I'll wait for him.
May has been a very busy month for me. I took a couple of months off just so I could actually work and do things. And then I finally just like bing, bang, boom. I finished 5 things right in a row. I'm like, cool, now I can edit and I can get them posted. So they will be coming out most of June, and hopefully I'll have that collaboration done by July.
Right. Well, yeah, you're going to give us, so fantastic. Yeah. So episode 2 in the can, so to speak. What do you think?
Good stuff.
You can listen to the audio version while you mow the lawn, while you brush your teeth, while you, set up a TV in your shop. I have one in here, and I watch videos sometimes while I'm working. So, yeah.
Waiting for glue to dry. It's a great exercise.
Absolutely.
There you go. Watch a video.
And this is just marginally more exciting than watching glue dry. Just a little bit. A little bit more.
A little bit. I think we might be in line with
we're
paint.
competing with paint.
neck and neck.
Okay. Well, lovely talking to you, my friend. Go A's.
Yeah,
go
you too, and go away. Hey, just win like 32, 33. I'm not asking for a playoff run here, but I got a whole lot of work today. I got to tear up my shop and move some shit around. So
we'll have fun.
That's my day.
Forget about the curveball, Ricky. Give him the heater.
Fuck you, Joe Blue. I do it myself.
Fuck you, Joe Blue. I do it myself. Hats for bats. Keep bats warm. Okay.
Keep bats warm.
Take care, buddy.
All righty, Lee. We'll see you in the next one. Adios.